Today from the Global Lane, China appointed to UN Human Rights Council as it forces Uyghurs into slave labor. When will the pandemic end? A COVID-19 vaccine may be coming sooner than you think. State governments say they're non-essential.
He said, you have to leave or I'll give you a summons. And I said, I don't understand why I'm going to get a summons.
Pro-lifers offering help during the COVID-19 crisis arrested and ticketed. And the tomb is empty. Why Christians believe the Easter miracle. And it's all right here on the Global Lane. Economic damage done to China as a result of the COVID-19 viral outbreak has caused the communist government to rapidly expand work camps and slave labor efforts in the country. The hardest hit, apparently, are the Turkic people of Xinjiang, East Turkistan. The new video shows Uyghur Muslims being forcibly transferred to a factory in Shandong province. Well, here to tell us more is Mr. Salih Hudayar. He's the Prime Minister of East Turkistan and founder of the East Turkistan National Awakening Movement. Salih, the video is shocking. Even China expert Gordon Chang says this is a crime against humanity. So tell us more. What have you learned about this?
So for the past several years, the Chinese government has been locking up millions of Uyghurs, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, and other Turkic peoples in concentration camps. With the coronavirus pandemic, a lot of Chinese people have been affected by this, and many of them, unfortunately, are not able to continue their work in these factories. So the Chinese government found it much easier to forcibly transfer Uyghur and other Turkic peoples to use as slave labor to boost their production as the global the coronavirus pandemic is hitting their economy.
And of course, we see video of them being forcibly loaded onto buses. They do have suitcases. Some, I guess, previous video shows them even being shackled and transported. So none of this surprises you, does it? We know that the Chinese government has sent more than 1 million Uyghurs to so-called re-education camps. Why? Why have they done this?
So the Chinese government's excuse is that it's engaging in counterterrorism, but this is nothing new. This is pure colonialism. China has been, since it occupied East Turkestan in 1949, it's been colonizing the region, putting Uyghurs and other Turkic peoples into Chinese provinces or prisons, while at the same time moving Chinese settlers to colonize the region.
Now, we have some video that you provided of children being separated from their parents. Tell us about that. How many children, what ages, why?
So over 500,000 children under the ages of 12 have been separated from their families. It's part of China's overall policy to colonize and assimilate our population. And they think that by taking these children and putting them into state-run orphanages and boarding schools, that they can ensure that they're loyal, that they grow up to be loyal to the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese state.
So the old re-education through labor and indoctrinating them into communist beliefs. So, Salih, what can people do about it? I know some members of the U.S. Congress have spoken out. So have others. It's gotten some media attention, but China isn't changing its policy. Is it making a difference?
No, it's not really making too much of a difference. There are some bills in the U.S. Congress, like the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, the Uyghur Act, which have still not been passed yet. One of the first things is to get these passed so people can call on their members of Congress, their senators, to pass this bill. We can also pressure the U.S. government to recognize the atrocities as a genocide, because the Holocaust Memorial Museum recognized it as a crime against humanity. Other things we can do is ensure that the United States government treats the East Turkestan issue on par with Tibet by recognizing East Turkestan as an occupied country and referring to East Turkestan by its correct term, East Turkestan, and not by the Chinese colonial term Xinjiang, which means the new territory.
I think that's a good goal, but probably it's a long shot, isn't it? I don't think that's likely to happen anytime soon. I know President Trump talks frequently by phone to President Xi, and he mentioned making another call last week. Now, once this viral outbreak is behind us, I'm sure trade talks will resume. So What about linkage with human rights, the plight of Christians and Uyghurs? Do you think it's being discussed? What have you heard about that?
So many members of the U.S. government, the Trump administration, including Secretary Pompeo and other members of the Trump administration, have already been speaking out against China's human rights violations of whether it's Uyghurs or Christians or Buddhists. I think it is on the table, but the United States government needs to recognize that China, is not going to relent from, persecuting these people. We're just giving them more time, and we're actually encouraging them to do this by not, imposing heavy sanctions and tariffs to hurt them, to pressure them economically and politically.
Okay, I'm sorry we're out of time, but Salih Hudayar, Prime Minister of East Turkistan and founder of the East Turkistan Awakening Movement, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.